All right, folks, at this time, I would like to, I'd like to take a motion for the city of Plattsburgh. We're holding a, public hearing to hear public comment on the mayor's proposed 2023 budget for the city of Plattsburgh. Motion, Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Canales. All in favor? This public hearing is now open. As with, before we get to any potential public comments, I'd like to take a moment to read portions of the budget message. I will not go into the entire thing, but I do want to give an opportunity to provide an overview of the budget. The 2023 mayor's budget process began in the middle of August. This process started off when each department head was provided a worksheet, including a 5-year budget look back for the years 2017 to 2021, an average of those 5 years, the 2022 revised budget, and a 0 column to submit their 2023 budget requests. Essentially, it became a modified zero-based budget with supporting data that outlined historic trends of departmental expenses and revenues. After that template was provided, each department head, the city chamberlain, Mr. Marks, and my office met on several occasions to discuss budget adjustments, historical trends, departmental goals for the coming year, etc. Budget item by budget item adjustments were made to each departmental budget. Following these internal meetings, a series of public budget work sessions were held with members of the Common Council. Members of the public were also invited to attend. And during these public work sessions, department heads further reviewed their budgets and fielded questions and clarifications from council. Subsequent to those public work sessions, further changes were made to the mayor's 2023 budget and were done in partnership with each department head and were presented in this past meeting. In addition to those public work sessions, members of the Common Council were invited to contribute to a wish list of budget considerations, which were reviewed and integrated as best as possible into this 2023 mayor's proposed budget. The overall process was productive, informative, and provided valuable insight into the desires of our management team to maintain their ability to deliver valued services, as well as the council's goals to maintain fiscal stability for following years. There are a number of factors that did go into developing this budget: historic levels of inflation, 3 new union contracts, a return to some normalcy while COVID levels across our county stabilizes, U.S.-Canadian border crossings, reopening, tourism returning, increased sales tax, and increased property tax assessment. As expected, our region has seen an increase in infrastructure investments from state and federal offices and regional development and business growth. As we shift to focus to 2023, we have a number of major infrastructure improvement projects that are currently in design phase, which are anticipated to start in 2023 and 2020. This includes Route 3 redesign and construction, DRI Riverwalk, harborside improvements, water sewer infrastructure projects, Saranac River Trail expansions, City Beach capital improvements, Margaret Street redevelopment, the Parks Renewal Project, enhancements to recreation programming, and our standard road and sidewalk resurfacing initiatives. These well overdue projects, and with the progress made last year, continued momentum is needed to improve these beloved resources as a way to increase pride and to retain and attract families to our city. Following the 2021 renegotiation of the ASME contract, this administration has successfully negotiated an additional 2 contracts in 2022 with the Plattsburgh Police Local 812 and IBEW Local 1249, which is the Municipal Lighting Department bargaining unit. It's anticipated that we'll also successfully finalize a contract with the Plattsburgh Professional Firefighters Local 2421 before the end of this year. All of our city employees, from labor to chief of police, are integral to the smooth function of our city government. The 2023 mayor's proposed budget addresses payroll increases across all 4 unions to ensure competitive pay opportunities for advancement, incentive for employee training and education, and generous health care and benefits packages. Investing and returning a quality investing in and retaining a quality workforce ensures the valued services we provide to taxpayers, business owners, regional employers, and tourists. And we do that to ensure that those things remain intact. As a budget summary, the following information in this packet outlines the difference between the proposals and those requests and what is now delivered in this packet. The original departmental budget requests included a 1.65 million or 6.6% increase over 2022 to general fund expenditures. A 1.16 million or 4.8% increase from 2022 in general fund revenues. With all being equal, those requested increases would have required a tax rate increase of 12.9% or a mill rate of $12.02. The anticipated levy would have been increased by $1.5 million, and that would have well exceeded the city's 2023 calculated tax cap by over 4%. What's being delivered in the 2023 mayor's budget is a $411,000 or a 1.6% increase over the 2022 budget. A 1.2 million or a 5.9% increase to general fund revenues. A structurally balanced 2023 general fund budget. Anticipated rate decrease of 50 cents and a mill rate of $10.86, which is about a 4.49% reduction from 2022, which the mill rate is $11.37. There's an anticipated increase to the levy of about $237,000. And this budget holds to the state's 2023 calculated mandated tax cap of 2.04%. The anticipated year-end general fund balance will be roughly $7 million, which also includes encumbrances and reserves. This year's 2023 mayoral budget follows the same trend as the balanced budget delivered in 2022. A sub 2% increase in expenditures, reasonable increases in revenues, and formalizes the economic development and quality of life projects that will impact the livability and attractiveness of our city. As part of this budget packet, there are high-level departmental summaries. I'm not going to review those, but it does outline every department, the goals of the department, and any significant increases or decreases of each of those departments. The 2023 proposed budget maintains staffing in key areas where service delivery and upkeep is critical. Moving into 2023, the city will focus on wrapping up a significant number of projects that we were able to launch starting in the beginning of 2021, with a primary focus on parks and infrastructure. Some of the major projects to track are the Margaret Street redevelopment, the Parks Renewal Project, the Harborside Master Plan, and the zoning code rewrites. This proposed budget includes funding for maintaining parks, capital improvements at the Beach and Rec Center, ensuring operational stability, increased staffing, preparing for infrastructure investments, projects in partnership with the town of Plattsburgh, and the execution of the comprehensive and Harborside master plans. Considering all of these factors, again, this budget maintains a 50-cent reduction in the tax rate, a 1.6% increase to general fund expenditures, a 5.9% increase to general fund revenues. This budget stays below the tax cap and maintains a healthy general fund balance of $7 million. I would like to take a moment right now to acknowledge and thank the City of Plattsburgh department heads, city staff members, the bargaining union leadership, and many of the consulting and contracted agencies that have supported the efforts, growth, and improvements of our city. Their expert approach and dedication is why we are successful as a city. I'd also like to thank Mayor Pro Tem Kelly and the members of the Common Council. Looking back, this year has certainly been a focus on reversing the course of years of deferred maintenance. We finalized contracts, we focused on parks and green spaces, and enhanced and promoted arts and culture. These are all factors that make our city incredibly attractive to business owners and residents. And I look forward to maintaining this momentum into 2023. This proposed budget is available via the City of Plattsburgh website. Local media outlets were shared earlier this year. The city's social media channels, I have a copy in the mayor's office, and it's also available at the Plattsburgh Public Library. It is truly a sincere pleasure and honor to work on behalf of the city of Plattsburgh. And this 2023 budget was painstakingly completed in partnership with each department head and the common council. With that, I would like to open up the floor for any public comment regarding the 2023 proposed budget.
Ira Barbell, I live on 62 Club Road, Plattsburgh. First, I want to congratulate the mayor. I think it's something. We had talked about this last year, and this summary, I think, does a pretty decent job of letting the average person understand what is going on in the budget. There are a couple of additional things I think could be done with that. And that was one of the things I wanted to speak to. I think for the individual department budgets that are in there, the cost of that department is shown basically just for the personal salaries, so personnel salaries of that particular department. I think it would be best if you wanted, the public should have a sense of how much would the police department or the fire department or public works, what does that cost the city to have that department? And that includes not only the personnel salaries, not fringe, but incidental costs, also all the retirement and healthcare and other benefits that are attached to that. And that will come up to closer to $7 million. That's what the public is paying for that police department. I don't know about the fire department, somewhere in the same ballpark. And then in addition to that, it would be helpful, I think, somewhere down the road, I don't think it's corrected now, but to identify the revenue source that is funding that department. Some of the departments are pure general fund. Many of the other departments are a combination of federal funds, rate setting, other type things. So how is this department funded, and how that dollar figure I was glad to see that some priority goals put in there that are tied to the projects that are outlined next year. And I think it's extremely helpful to figure out with those departments how they understand where they fit into parks or where they fit into Market Street reconstruction, whatever. And I think all of them should be thinking about that, and hopefully that will happen. The last thing on budgeting is I expected to see in the budget the COVID resources that came into the city. I know there's a multi-million dollars that came up, but were allocated $1 million or more. I don't know the figure that came into the city as a result of trying to remediate some of the issues that the city ran into during COVID. So I think it would be helpful to have a brief summary in there to say during this year, a lot of the efforts the city made were reimbursed by the federal government or the state government and others to cover the cost. And now these are the dollars that came in, and here's how they've been reallocated to address those issues in this current budget. So that's the issue on the budget. Now it's not the last one. Is a pet peeve of mine. Everybody, some of the people on the council remember 2 years ago, there was an MOU for the fire department to create a second ambulance in the city of Plattsburgh. Prior to 2 years ago, there never was a second ambulance for the city of Plattsburgh. Any call that came in that the first ambulance or the ambulance of the fire department was out on immediately went to CDPH, and they covered that call in the city of Plattsburgh. We put in a second ambulance, and at the same time, added 3 or 4 staff, I don't remember the exact number, to the fire department. The idea was that the agreement was that the second ambulance would cover its costs. And I looked at the numbers just in the budget. In 2022, there were 906,000. 2023 proposed was 925,000 revenue from the ambulance. And I went back and looked at 2020 because I happened to have that. It was 925,000. That the single was generating less or almost the same with 2. So anyway, I just think you ought to think in your budget about do you need the second ambulance when you have a backup of the hospital ambulance service? Not sure, I'm sure Richard, could tell you how much it costs to have that second ambulance, but I suspect it's not cheap. So I don't know the dollar amount that would free up in the fire department's budget or whatever. So those are the 2 things that struck me as I looked at it. I appreciate the effort that the mayor made on the summary of the budget, because the budget, if you download it from the internet, is not understandable. Anybody who looks at that, it's full of acronyms, it's full of abbreviations, numbers are all over the place. And it's very hard for anybody. I'm not going to say the average person, it's very hard for me when I was on the council, and I'm sure it's hard for a lot of the councilors that are on the council to get a solid grasp of that budget. I think what mayor is doing in terms of beefing up that summary so that anybody can pick it up and read and say, well, what are these departments doing? What's it cost us in the tax to do that? Is a really positive step.
Thank you. Anybody else to speak during the public hearing portion of the budget?
Not about the budget.
No, we'll just wait on that one. Yep, I know when you're here. I give you the. This is just about the budget. Public hearing. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll now take a motion to close the public hearing. Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Towns. All in favor? This public hearing is now closed. At this time, I'd like to call the November 3rd, 2022 regular meeting of the Common Council to order. It is now 5:18 p.m. Please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Currently, we please conduct the roll.
Mayor Rosenfeld.
Here.
Council Canales.
Here.
Council Kelly.
Here.
Council Gibbs. Here. Council Talon. Here. Council Bob. Council Moore.
Here. Councilor Bob has been excused. All councilors have received a copy of the minutes of the October 20th, 2022 regular meeting. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I'll now entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Councilor Canales, second by Councilor Gibbs. Any changes, deletions, or updates? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. I'll now recognize those in the audience who wish to share their thoughts and concerns with the council on any topic. Please come to the podium to be acknowledged, and when called upon, we do please ask that you state your legal name and address for the record, and in accordance with the organizational rules of order. All speakers will be given 5 minutes to address the council.
My name is Linda Harwood. And this is difficult for me to get up here and stand here and say in public. So I think you should all not be working at your laptops or whatever. Because of the great effort I'm doing to speak, I'd like your attention. Like I said, my name is Linda Harwood, and I thank the council for allowing me 5 minutes of their attention, listening to my plea in favor of keeping our trade center. The crate was constructed only 48 years ago, using the highest quality steel support system and the strongest cement blocks by the Renee Corporation with money donated by the Craig brothers, who wanted to provide recreational space for the children. This administration is not responsible for the lack of upkeep over the past many years. But you have a choice of fixing this rec center or eliminating it, leaving no space or program for the children of the county or the city. We had an outside of the building electrical fire. This shut down the electrical system, and I understand blew up the transformer. There was no damage, the breakers didn't even go off inside the building, so the transformer served its purpose in stopping further damage to the building. This would be covered by, I believe, our insurance policy. Another issue brought up by the mayor was mold. When I attended the walkthrough, I did not see or smell mold. Guaranteed, all the ceiling tiles have been destroyed, fallen to the floor and whatever, but they have now been eliminated from the building. This is an easy fix with a new roof when it's put in place. Your Clinton County Historical Association has just gone to great expense, put a new roof on their museum, rather than let it jeopardize the building and its precious contents. You may wonder how I can stand up here and spout off about all this restoration and preservation. It's because I'm a big viewer and fan of HGTV. And I love the Property Brothers. But before their time, I have spent hundreds of hours physically restoring the Valcourt Lighthouse, getting the Clinton County Historical Museum ready for its opening, the Underground Railroad, the Anderson Falls Museum in Keysville, our home on Oak Street, and now my current home on Palmer Street. So I am qualified to stand up here and speak to these issues. When the mayor talked to us after the walkthrough, he was impassioned about telling how sick and tired he was of the loss of revenues by keeping the crate open. I realized that day his only objective is to tear down the building. I understand he has told the councilors in person and by emails he will not entertain suggestions to repair the crate, and he will use his full veto power to stop such suggestions from happening. I feel the public has not been informed. There has been no engineer report. The MOD has not been asked to assess the damage, and they could do the repairs. Billy Jones, I understand, has offered $100,000 grant for this purpose. The county legislators have offered $200,000. Mayor Rosenquist's response to this was, "Don't bother, I'm tearing it down." A woman that attended one of the walkthroughs said that the 1,700 children, if asked, their parents would donate $100 per family. That could result in $170,000. There has been a tenant leasing the building for the 6 winter months at $40,000. He provided space and organized the winter sports for the city and the 1,700 town of children. He also held the Adirondack Coastal Events Craft Show, which is now going to be up in the mall. The summer 6 months could be scheduled by the city. Car shows, home improvement shows, craft shows, whatever the city could come up with to raise money. It's my understanding that last summer, a Vermont RV dealer asked to hold an RV show using only the parking lot for $500 a day for a 10-day period. That would have been $5,000. I don't recall whether he was told no or they did respond to the request. Tearing down this building without a future plan is ridiculous If the plan is to build another for $20 million, what makes you think they will come? And letting it sit there is not an option. My fear is you are planning to sell it to a developer. And we all know how that goes. They get the big tax cuts and incentives. And the job never reaches the finished plan. Like the expensive townhouse at the Samotion Creek, surrounded by an unkept sand lot filled with debris. I understand there was a vote to find a contractor to tear the grade down. The vote came to a tie. The mayor's vote broke the tie, and they are looking for someone to take it down, probably for $1 million. When our 6 councilors come to a tie vote, I would think it means more discussion is needed, more research is needed. Please winterize the building to prevent further damage this winter. I thank you for your time.
Thanks, Linda. Anyone else who'd like to share their thoughts and concerns with the council at any time?
If you do sell the building, is there a guarantee that the $1 million will be used to invest in our children?
Can you please come up, because the folks online can't hear you?
My name is Marty Stratton. I don't even know if this thing is on. Is it? I can't hear. It's recorded very well.
It doesn't project, it just records and then.
Oh, my voice projection, we will worry about that. Anyway, no, my concern is if you do sell the building, which originally was supposed to be in a different location, and it was, the money was put forth to invest in the children in Plattsburgh. If you sell the building for $1 million, is there any guarantee that that $1 million will not be used for other things, and that it will be invested and overseen by a committee to see that it does invest in our children?
One, there's a lot of complications around selling that parcel, because it is considered parkland. And it's not a matter of being able to sell it without jumping through a significant amount of legislative hurdles, including an actual passage of law by New York State, the New York State legislature.
I'm not sure I'm understanding.
We can't sell it without, we
sell it.
cannot sell the property without a lot of effort and New York State, the New York State legislature being involved.
So it hasn't been decided that it will be sold then?
I think that nobody on this council even thinks that we want to sell that first,
That was-
or allow a private developer to come and develop.
I understand. I like that. Yeah, okay. Does that answer your question? Oh, but I like that. I want to say. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Watch.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to share their thoughts and concerns with the council on any topic? All right, seeing none, we'll now go to committee reports. Each standing committee was chaired by councilor. We'll now call upon that chairperson of each committee, starting with city office, councilor Bob's not here. Finance and economic development, we have a finance and economic development next Thursday. In city infrastructure, councilor.
I don't have anything new to report at this time. We have a regular committee meeting on this coming Monday. So we will have something before the next.
Public safety, councilor House.
Public meeting on the 21st.
We'll move on to liaison report, Plattsburgh Public Library, councilor.
I've got a few things to report. First of all, they are offering free COVID tests at the library, so if you need one, you can get one there. They are expecting the 2023 construction grant to be moved to the state for approval, so they're looking forward to seeing what happens there. They have their chiller compressor installed now, so next summer it's actually going to be cool in the library. So that was their problem before the air conditioning, so that problem's been taken care of. They've got some new programs there this fall. The teen advisory group, the kids and teens Wii tournament, teen cinema, and the LGBT plus group. And then I'll have another announcement at the next meeting. Yeah. But
Thank you, councilor Town. Plattsburgh Municipal Light Department, councilor Dick.
no.
Each other. No reports. There are no special committee reports. I will now report on payrolls of various city departments. The council has approved payrolls of the various city departments of the city of Plattsburgh for the week ending October 26, 2022, in the amount of $51,541.65, and November 2nd, 2022, in the amount of $565,876.96. I'll now report on the audit of the claims. The bills audited by the county council for the week ending October 28th, 2022, were in the amount of $5,864,829.55, in November 4th, 2022, in the amount of $2,296,567.83. Before voting on the following resolutions, I'll note that the majority of these resolutions have been thoroughly discussed.
Proclamation.
All right, I'll add that next. I'll add that next regular meeting. That's fine.
Hold on, I printed it. It's just you didn't, you're not referring, you just need to refer to all. It's on the agenda.
I don't have it.
It's on the agenda,
Oh, it's on the agenda. It's not on the agenda. Gotcha.
you just were gonna refer to it.
Sorry. This time I'd like to convey a proclamation for Small Business Saturday. Whereas the government of the city of Plattsburgh, New York, celebrates our local small businesses and contributes and the contributions they make to our local economy. And now therefore, I, Chris Rosenquist, mayor of the city of Plattsburgh, New York, do hereby proclaim November 26, 2022 as Small Business Saturday. And I urge the residents of our community and the communities across our country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the entire year. Before voting on the following resolutions, I will note that the majority of these resolutions have been thoroughly discussed by the appropriate committee and department heads. We're now taking action on these items in large part due to the recommendations of those committees. Ms. Crowley, will you please read the titles of the resolutions to be acted upon?
Item 7.217, authorize mayor to sign fourth amendment to the ground lease with ICB New York LLC.
Motion, Councilor Kelly, second by Councilor Kyle, discussion. Roll call.
Council Canales?
Yes.
Council Kelly?
Yes.
Council Gibbs?
Yes.
Council Talon?
Yes.
Council Moore?
yes,
Carried. I'd also like to introduce local law P5A of 2022, a local law amending chapter 360, article 2, section 360-5, entitled terms defined by amending the definition of livestock to include laying hens and amending chapter 360, article 4, section 360-13, subsection E, to regulate the keeping of hens per the city code of the city of Plattsburgh. Set the public hearing 2 weeks, November 17th. 2022. What is it? Oh, yeah, so, yeah. All right, 7219.
It's going to be Monday.
Okay, and for the, any members not present, well, no.
Item 7.219, secret classification of lead agency intention and referral of the proposed local law P-5A 2022, including the EAF Part 1 to the Clinton County Planning Board pursuant to GML-239-M.
Motion. Counselor Canales, second. Counselor Kelly, discussion. I think it's important to note that this resolution or the local law was referred back to the county board. It did come back with notes to change. A lot of those notes referred to the permitting process, the enforcement procedures and the ability to claw back permits in the case of significant issues for folks who are not following the rules and regulations, where before the local law did not have those strong regulations. So this amended local law, which is being referred back to the county board and our local board for further comments. Furthermore, rather than forcing the item back to council for a supermajority, we felt it better to make the change appropriate to the comment and send it back up. Roll call.
Council Now,
Yes.
Council Kelly,
Yes.
Council Gibbs,
Yes.
Council Talon.
Yes.
Council Moore,
Yes,
Carried. Yeah, so I'll now introduce local law P6 of the year 2022, a local law amending section 340-10 snow emergencies of the city code of the city of Plattsburgh.
the hearing on 17 at 5.
We will set this public hearing for November 17th at 5 p.m.
501.
5:01 p.m. Thank you. And that's being handed out, and email will be sent to Counselor. There is no executive session tonight, but I will ask the council to waive rule 4. For the introduction of an item that will impact the city financially. Motion by Councilor Canal, second by Councilor Kelly, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I will now introduce item 7220.
7221. There's a public, the local law just did that.
Okay, I will now introduce item 7221. Resolution authorizing and approving settlement agreement with city employee number 855. Motion. Councilor Kelly, second by Councilor Canales. Discussion. Roll call.
Council Canal,
Yes.
Council Kelly,
Yeah.
Council Gibbs,
Yes.
Council Talon.
Yes.
Council Moore,
yes,
Carried. Is there any new business coming for this council?
So I had some questions that I was hoping we could have answered because we're starting our individual budget session starting next week. And I would like to see by the, this is something I'm requesting from Richard's office. When we have our finance meeting next week, can we get an itemized list of all the expenses from the general fund since July 28th? From July 28th?
You want a list of all of the expenses spent out of the general fund for the last 5 months?
No, 3 months. Since July.
You made those funds more.
The unappropriated, that's what
I see,
I'm-
okay, I was gonna say. that's a
Unappropriated.
Long list of bills.
Right,
Yeah, so I mean, the same list that we provided last year, an ongoing, tally of any unappropriated,
yes,
unassigned expenditures, which we've had that list. But we can provide the same kind of structure that we did last year.
when we have the budget meetings and, not really budget hearings, I suppose, or the council budget hearings. Can we have the breakdown of the payroll for each department on the evening when we have? And can we be told if there are raises for managers factored into those departments?
I don't believe as the budget is presented, there are raises factored into the budget for any managers. Except for one. There's one request for, and I'm not gonna say the name, but there was one request from last year. That was requested for a department which was asked to be put in the budget or be considered in the budget. That is the only one that's considered.
For one request.
Correct. But otherwise, we'll provide that.
In the past, we've gotten like a payroll breakdown, on the payroll line, who's included on it. We've gotten that. So that when we're deliberating over the budget by department, we know exactly what that payroll line was like. So if we could get that, every night that we have our budget, we could, it'd be great.
And I just wanted to say, thank you to everybody who participated in the trick or treat event on Saturday. It was fantastic. It's so wonderful to see that kind of Halloween spirit in our wonderful city. So thank you.
Any new business? Please.
The budget work sessions are coming up, as everyone knows. And, what I'd like to do is to ask council again this year, like we did last year, to provide any changes you wish to see to the budget in the form of a resolution. We will collect those resolutions, and sometime in December, we will, hopefully sometime in December, we will vote on those resolutions. It's one thing to come to the meeting and talk about the budget and, you know, state your wishes. It's another thing you have to vote on it. So I would like to see us all prepared to vote either yes or no on all of the amendments that take place.
Thank you. And likely what we can do is during those committee meetings is collect that information and start to package a resolution package, and then we can do it individually. I'm assuming that you want to do one by one, you wouldn't want to do like a full budget amendment package of resolutions.
That would be tempting, and it would be very nice, but that would not give each counselor the
Yes,
opportunity
right,
to
exactly.
say yes, or no on specific items.
No, understood. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. Because I agree, I think it should be one by one, not. You know, big package of resolutions.
Well, there actually will be that sort of blanket approval at the end of that process, during we have to ratify it.
Okay, thank you. Any further new business? Seeing none, I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to Councilor Davis, second. Councilor Kelly, all in favor? Thanks, folks.